Alright, lads. So, this next one here that I'm making about DVD Mobile is specifically for people who are transitioning over to this game from Identity 5. So, Identity 5 was the biggest, I don't want to say DVD knockoff because there are big elements from it, but it's the biggest DVD-esque game on the App Store until this point, so I expect to see a lot of people coming to try the game that it's based off of. There are several differences. I've highlighted those differences before, and I plan to probably make another video about it now, since the two games are actually going to be in direct competition on the App Store. I have both. I have played both. I'm okay at Identity 5. I haven't actually sat down to play it long enough to get extremely good at it, but I've watched the tournaments and I've seen what's good in that game, and I think I have a fair amount of understanding enough to actually be able to explain some of the differences. I main killer, so this is kind of going to be specifically for killers, but I know a little bit about Survivor as well. Okay, but the first thing I'm going to recommend is that I have an actual tutorial in quotes about how to actually get started on this game, as in a general sense, about what killer you should get. I'll touch on it here as well, but like probably say a little bit more about that in that particular video, because I have some other stuff I want to go over, and I can't really do it that long here because I'm not on the actual console. I have to kind of speed through this, but go watch that video for more detail. But in a very basic sense of what I say in that video is you have to decide if you're going to be a budget player or a pay player, because there is a lot of killers here, and you can either buy them all really quickly or get them through the in-game currency via the Oryx cell. So if you're going to be a budget player, it's possible to get every killer except for the licensed ones. The licensed ones being Ghostface in quotes, because it's not really the Ghostface from Scream, but they're counting it so they can charge you money for it. So they're going to charge you money for Ghostface, Pig, Michael Myers, and Leatherface when he comes out. I'm sure he's going to be charged, because that's how he's always been. He's been pay only. The biggest laugh about all of this is that the best one of these three characters is Ghostface, and like even then it's debatable between how good he actually is. So Myers and Pig are kind of ripoffs, but like Myers is good enough to warrant a purchase if you like Halloween. But if you don't like Halloween, just kind of don't deal with it. He's not that great. But anyway, the gist of what I say is, like, when you get this game, you're gonna get 9,000 shards immediately. There's three forms of currency you have to keep track of. There are the blood points, which are the red triangle on the top left. You have the shards, which are the pink little, is that a triangle? The pink triangles on the right, and the Oryx cells with the yellow circles. The yellow Oryx cells you should specifically save for characters. I would not buy those with skins unless you really... I would not buy skins at all unless you're going to be like a super heavy player. I would not even worry about skins until you get all the characters first. But that's what the Oryx cells are for. The Oryx cells are but I mean, yeah, you can kind of earn them through the game. Just if you have Oryx cells to get a character, you can buy one of the licensed ones. Save your Oryx cells to buy licensed characters. You can get every other character in the game through shards. And they have a deal going on right now where they give you 9,000 shards immediately when you start the game. There's like a thank you from the devs for downloading it, and then like you get 8,000 from the tutorial. So you can get 9,000. Maybe that was a pre-register bonus, I'm actually not sure. But like, the point is you're going to be able to buy your first killer really fast. And the two our competition for are Legion and Clown, because they both have some of the best perks in the game that you're going to need if you're going to realistically stop the generators. So I'll just leave that to my other video to explain. So just Legion and Clown, and then again, after you get those two, you can branch out, and again, that other video is better at explaining this. I wanted to go over some of the gameplay elements. Okay, in Identity 5, camping is kind of what y'all did when you down somebody. In Dead by Daylight, camping is very frowned upon. Camping the hook after you hook somebody, that is a very frowned upon concept. And not only is it frowned upon, it's also just not very good. You have to actually, if you're gonna really, because if you camp somebody, the survivors, good survivors, will just rush the generators and get out. Which, in your game, that's kind of what happens too. The difference is, Dead by Daylight killers can actually patrol their maps effectively enough and actually get more effective downs, because all of the survivors actually play the same way. There's only a few perks that you're going to have to actually worry about for chasing. There's no portals, there's no nonsense, there's no ridiculous powers that slow down the killer. All they have are the pallets and like 5 exhaustion perks and the tiles. So that's all they get. That's a big difference, and so they're a lot weaker than they are in your game. That being said, they're still ridiculously strong once they work, because like looping is a lot more powerful in this game because of the fact that the controls are a lot smoother. Although on the phone and like the mobile device, it might be a little bit wonky. So have that what you will with that. But looping theoretically is more powerful in this game, to make up for the fact. And then they have the exhaustion perks, which you can get that from other videos. Another technique I need to go over with the Identity 5 people is the concept of moonwalking. So in your game, if you pull back on the killer, the killer will walk forward toward the camera. And Dead by Daylight, if you touch down on the screen in Identity 5, the killer turns around and walks forward in that direction. In Dead by Daylight, the killer goes directly backwards. Why is this important? Because this gives you access to a new technique called moonwalking, which you have to know if you're gonna fucking try to realistically beat some of these tiles. In Dead by Daylight, hiding your red stain is super important. In your game, you kind of can't do that. In this game, you have to do it, or you're never going to be able to win these mind games. So you have to walk backwards and adjust the camera accordingly so that you're sliding up with the tile to hide your red stain from the survivors. It's a critical element to win mind games, and if you don't master it, you're never going to get good at this game. That's a huge new element that you'll have to. So yeah, don't camp. Just camp. I mean, camp in certain situations. Camping is a situational thing in this game. It's not meta. And some perks like barbecue and chili and Pop Goes the Weasel, which is the clown's perk, will reward you massively for not camping. Which again, you can find out more about Pop Goes the Weasel in my other video. But barbecue will just let you see survivors' auras that are far away, and you can go pressure them, and that will help you stop the gen rush. And shit. And maps tend to be a lot smaller in this game. That's not so. They're actually, a lot of them are actually getting even more reduced. So you'll have to have a hard time adjusting to the first-person perspective. You're a bit more limited in your vision, but you make up for it with being able to actually moonwalk. And the killers have powers survivors don't. All the survivors get are 4 perks, and then my other video explains what the rest of this shit is. But that's kind of all. That's kind of the bare basics of this game and how it stacks up to Identity 5. Welcome to the fog, mates. I hope you guys like this game, but it's still ridiculously survivor favored as Identity 5 is. So don't expect this game to be a huge improvement over your experience. They just fuck you for different reasons in this game, I guess. It's a lot more active because there's less camping involved, but it's also just the balance isn't any better. The other things you'd have to adjust to are hex totems and other mechanics and dull totems and other perks, like how the detention system works in this game, which is just called No One Escapes Death. All this stuff is out there, and I'm sure if you all have a basic understanding of it, so I'm not going to insult anybody's intelligence, but those are just the core differences between the two games from a red killer that has played both games. Alright lads, GG's, enjoy your matches.